Throughout the entire series, we see the reoccurring theme of Harry and Voldemort having a lot in common. According to the wand maker, the phoenix only gave 2 feathers, one to Voldemort and the other to Harry. They both grew up without parents, and both had the ability to speak to snakes. Throughout the series, other people would often note how much Harry resembles Voldemort, and the two even share a connection to lightning. In the final movie, they were depicted as morphing into each other, literally becoming one entity. So what does this mean? In esotericism, there is something called the Law of Polarity. This law states that everything has poles and has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. For example, warmth is the effect of increased heat energy. Cold is the effect of decreased heat energy. Both hot and cold are identical in that they're both energies, yet they're opposite in their degree on the spectrum. The reason why we have opposite poles in this universe, hot, cold, sun, moon, man, woman, etc., is because our universe is electric. This is corroborated by ancient mystics throughout the ages, as well as Walter Russell, professor and scientist who completed the hydrogen octave and discovered 2 of the elements used to create the atom bomb. According to Russell's A New Concept of the Universe, all matter is electric. This universe is substanceless and consists of motion only. Motion is two-way, for all motion is caused by the division of an equilibrium and its extension in 2 opposite directions to create 2 opposite conditions of pressure. This equilibrium is magnetism, which is the still light that balances and controls the equality of electric division. The 2 opposite pressure conditions are the compressed plus and expanded minus conditions, and the resultant effects of gravity and radiation, heat and cold, male and female, positive and negative, and other wave vibrating pairs of opposites. Wave vibrating pairs of opposites. Where else can we find this? For one, we hear it in music. Sound is the division of silence. The rapid vibrations of a chord vibrate the air around it, which then vibrates our eardrums. But sound is just one of many byproducts of opposite vibrating frequencies. These frequencies also have an active role in the creation of visible form. This can be exemplified with the cymatics and resonance experiment. Russell explains that matter appears when polarization divides an equilibrium into 2 opposites. Matter disappears when the opposites reunite to rest into one. That which man calls life in bodies is the accelerative centripetal motion which generates and contracts. Death is the decelerative motion of centrifugal force, which decays and expands. Bodies of matter can be seen as wound-up thought waves. The incandescence of compressed matter and the black vacuity of expanded matter are the 2 opposite ends of nature's bar magnet. In essence, our material world is a byproduct of opposing, vibrating wave frequencies. Many people, including Walter Russell and ancient mystics, see these frequencies as the thoughts of God, or Sophia. God's thoughts are housed in magnetism and are the invisible patterns of nature which manifests, or incarnates, in the world of matter in repeating cycles. Russell continues, All idea is eternal in the zero equilibrium of the still magnetic light. That idea is manifested in motion of body forms by polarized cycles. Cause is eternal. In other words, idea is eternal, and effect, matter, is eternally repeated. This is where we find reincarnation. Our lives are recorded into inert gases, also known as spirit. When your essence depolarizes, your body expands to become the invisible pattern. When this pattern is fully expanded, it starts to contract again, becoming focused, visible energy known as reincarnated life. All bodies manifest eternal idea by eternally repeating their manifestations of idea in continuous cycles, which have no beginnings or endings. To exemplify, cold generates, generation contracts, contraction heats, heat radiates, radiation expands, and expansion cools. Back and forth, back and forth. All opposites born each other and become each other in alternate sequences. Nature perpetually changes one form of matter into another by perpetually changing its pressure conditions. So, why do Harry and Voldemort have so much in common? That would be like saying Jesus and Satan are practically twins. But when you take the Law of Polarity into account, it starts to make sense. Harry was partially born of Voldemort, which is how he acquired his lightning bolt scar and several of Voldemort's talents. When they duel, their wands connect, tying them together in equal force. And in the final battle scene of the Deathly Hallows, the two literally morph into one. Harry and Voldemort are two opposite degrees on the same spectrum. Harry, being Horus, is the god of the new life cycle. Voldemort is Set and lord of the death cycle. Both are equally powerful because both are the equinoxes. The Sun versus Saturn. And Saturn has yet another name, that being the Black Sun. The courtroom scene in the Order of the Phoenix made a point of zooming out so the audience could see two suns on the floor, with Harry occupying one of them. The other is on the side with the minister and all of the other government personnel. Again, government is ruled by Saturn. In addition, both Harry and Voldemort are light bearers. The theme of suns at the equinoxes was highlighted with the phoenix feather. The phoenix symbolizes rebirth, and the birthing portals are the equinoxes, where death gives birth to life, and life gives birth to death. Because Harry is the sun at the vernal equinox, he is given the golden snitch with the inscription, "I open at the close." The close is the end of a cycle, the end of a 24,000-year cycle. 1 degree to the left is the end of the galactic winter. 1 degree to the right is the beginning of the galactic spring. At the end of one cycle is the immediate beginning of a new one. Resurrection and rebirth are exemplified in Harry's first year as well. The Sorcerer's Stone is used to create the elixir of life, which allows its user to live eternally. We learned in the Order of the Phoenix that neither Harry nor Voldemort can live while the other survives, because both are always canceling out the efforts of the other. Life cancels out death, and death cancels out life. These are the two equinoxes fighting over the throne. Whomever captures the elixir captures the next cycle. I feel reincarnation is subtly expressed by Hogwarts itself. Hogwarts is symbolic for our material world. Just as the world has 4 elements and 4 seasons, so too does Hogwarts have 4 houses. As we all know, Hogwarts is a school. And if you're spiritually inclined, you may view life on Earth as a classroom to spiritually evolve. I feel that each school year at Hogwarts symbolizes cyclic reincarnations into the material world. Harry is depicted as a boy because he's a young sun, just beginning his journey for another 24,000-year cycle. Dumbledore was the fully matured sun god of the old cycle. The student's evolution from children to young adults is symbolic for our overall God frequency evolving. The electric seed thought is evolving. In Manly P. Hall's Occult Anatomy of Man, when the time came to create the material universe, the Logos entered a deep state of meditation, centralizing his thought power upon the 7 flower-like centers of the 7 worlds. Gradually, his life force descended from the brain, which was the great superior world, striking these flowers one after the other, giving birth to the lower worlds. When at last his spirit fire struck the lowest center, the physical world was created. When the world returns to him again, and he once more becomes supreme in consciousness, it will be because he withdraws the life from these 7 centers, beginning with the lowest, and returns it to the brain. Thus, the path of evolution for all living things is to raise this fire, bringing them into harmony once more with the superior worlds. This myth of the life force that came down and took worlds upon itself is found among all civilized nations on Earth. In the Deathly Hallows, when Harry is in purgatory with Dumbledore after being temporarily killed by Voldemort, Harry asks one crucial question.
Professor? Is this all real? Or is it just happening inside my head?
Of course it's happening inside your head, Harry. Why should that mean that it's not real?
This short scene is letting the viewer know that we're all operating inside the mind of a god. This oneness is why the quadrants of a tomato resemble the chambers of the heart. The spiral of the seashell is the same as the spiral of a hurricane, which is the same as the spiral of the galaxy. Where tree branches, river streams, and lightning strikes all look the same, because they are the same. Universe. One song, one sound. Which brings to question, what is magic? What is real magic? Magic is the process of taking something from your mind and manifesting it into the world of matter. Creating art is magic. Engineering a rocket is magic. Even making a s'more is magic. Anything you manifest is magic. The entire Harry Potter series is basically about metaphysical psychology. We never see Harry kill a Death Eater. Not one person from the secret society is singled out and executed. Who does Harry spend the entire series going after? He goes after Voldemort, the R-complex. Harry goes after the source of death and corruption, that being the impurity in one's own heart and mind. The neocortex, Harry, did not eliminate part of the brain. Slytherins still exist at the school. The neocortex, combined with the limbic system, merely sets boundaries. The real revolution is internal. As individuals change themselves, the culture at large changes, which in turn further inspires the individual, and so on. A truly peace and freedom-loving society does not impress their will upon others through force. It's through inspiration and the encouragement of free will. We don't need to combat anyone. We can exercise peaceful non-compliance, avoid purchasing certain items and certain stores, and instead seek to encourage your immediate community and other communities who are helpful to you. Cultivate your natural talents and reinstate a sense of honor. Create a family crest and flag. Build a reputation that people will begin to recognize and respect. Encourage children to keep that good reputation going. We have the capacity to do business with each other with whatever money we choose to recognize in a non-coercive, servantless fashion. There does not need to be a bloody, extroverted revolution. That would be like burning down the house because you discovered raccoons in the attic. Moreover, that's exactly what the elites want us to do. This is the grand alchemical process of creating and destroying nations. I agree with Freeman Fly when he says they may have purposefully made 9/11 obvious so that the U.S. will be labeled a terrorist and become an occupied state, overthrowing our current set of laws in favor for an ultra-controlled country. I also doubt the so-called grassroots documentary, Zeitgeist, which spoon-fed many of us this information. This documentary came from obscurity, yet it had money and notoriety almost immediately. Based on the popularity of all other truther documentaries, Zeitgeist is a rare anomaly for sure. And in the end, what did it steer us towards? Socialist megacities. What a coincidence! The very thing the elites wanted all along. Herein lies the alchemy. The United States sprouted from the ashes of the last revolution. We have grown until we can't grow in this current direction any further. So now they repeatedly set us ablaze until we're back to ash and a new system of control will sprout once more. But again, one can avoid this fate through an internal revolution. Voldemort, like Empire, is not a person. He's an idea. You can either nurture the idea or kill it. Jesus' unpolluted descent from Adam through the line of David by both Joseph and Mary means that Jesus was the direct inheritor of the DNA of God. According to legend, Jesus and Mary Magdalene were not supposed to marry each other because she was from the tribe of Levi. If they mixed bloodlines, it would desecrate God's lineage. John was ordered by God to prevent Jesus and Mary from marrying for this reason. However, Jesus had other plans. He let Judas be crucified in his stead, while he and Mary Magdalene ran away to the region of southern France, where they raised a family and later died of old age. Even the Quran briefly mentions that Jesus allowed somebody else to die in his place. And during the medieval era, Muslims uncovered the Gospel of Barnabas, which attests to this exact storyline. As punishment for John's inability to prevent the two bloodlines from blending, God had John beheaded. According to the Dead Sea Scrolls, there were two Messiahs: the King Messiah, Jesus, and the Priest Messiah, John. The Priest Messiah comes first in the order of precedence. He is the interpreter of the law and will teach righteousness at the end of days. The King Messiah was to defer to the priest in all legal matters. After his death, a number of Gnostic cults revered John the Baptist as the true Messiah and called themselves Johannonites. Even today, there are semi-Islamic Gnostic sects in Iraq known as Mandeans, who also believe this. The Templars unearthed these scrolls and the head of John the Baptist during their crusade of Constantinople in 1204. For the Templars, and later the Freemasons, John the Baptist became their patron saint. Upon joining the Johannonite order, a new initiate must spit on the cross while renouncing Jesus and embrace John as their savior. The Templars, like all other secret orders, had two doctrines. One concealed and reserved for the masters, which was Johannanism, and the second public one was the Roman Catholic Church. As I've already mentioned in Harry Potter and the Legend of the Sun, Harry is Horus, which is the rising sun and dawn of another golden age. Sitting on the horizon for this round's golden age is Aquarius, who in the Bible is John the Baptist. In mid-January, the sun enters the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is known as the water bearer because this marks the rainy season, baptizing the sun. According to the Dead Sea Scrolls, John the Baptist is the one who will teach righteousness at the end of days. The end of days refers to the end of the age of Pisces, the age of belief and illusion. Jesus announced that in the end times a man will meet you carrying an earthen pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he goes in. The only zodiac sign with a pitcher of water is Aquarius. The age of Aquarius is the age of knowing, hence the ability to teach righteousness. Aquarius is ruled by two planets, one of which is Saturn, who lords over the law. Just as Aquarius is associated with knowing and the law, John the Baptist is associated with being the great teacher and is an interpreter of the law. The term Christ simply means anointed. Anybody who exalts their spiritual intelligence can be Christed, including John the Baptist. When Templars and Freemasons refer to their Christ, they're actually referring to John. Harry Potter is Christ, the Sun, in the golden age of Aquarius, which, in my opinion, makes him John the Baptist.